Hi, my name is Angus Ho with Daddy Dat, a part of the Ash Management Group. I want to show how you can budget as a full-time engineer, make real estate investments, and live an exceptional family life as a dad. So, come along with me in this journey of wealth. In this episode of the Daddy Dat Kids series, we are going over that. That's right, it's finally time to explain what the that part of Daddy Dat really means. That is anytime someone borrows money from someone else. That is anytime someone borrows money from someone else. That is when debt is created. I just want to start off by saying that that can either help or hurt your financial life. So make sure you listen very carefully as I explain that. Don't forget to count those coins as they scroll through the screen as well. Halfway through the video, I will be telling you how much money has scrolled through. That is money that one entity, it could be a person, business, organization, or government, owes another entity. When you borrow money, you'll typically make an agreement with the lender that you'll repay the money on schedule, sometimes with interest or a fee. The most common types of debt is the same places you get a loan for. I talk about loans in the past video, so make sure you check it out for that important information here. These places include credit cards, auto loans, student loans, and mortgages. People take on debt because they need to purchase something that costs more than they can pay in cash. Or, in some instances, people may want to use their cash for something else, so they borrow money to cover a particular purchase. Debt can generally be categorized as secured debt and unsecured debt. Within these two categories, you'll usually find revolving debt and installment debt to pay it back. These types of debt is a little bit more in-depth and not necessarily available to everyone. But because I want to make sure you guys have all the information, let's get into it a little deeper so that you'll know about it, and you do need a loan, you'll have it available for you. Secured debt gives the lender the right to seize specific collateral if you default on the agreement. Common secured debts include mortgage loans, auto loans, and secured credit cards. After you're delinquent on payments for a certain amount of time, the lender has the right to take possession of the property and sell it to repay the loan. You can still owe money after this process if the proceeds from the sale aren't enough to cover the outstanding loan balance. Unsecured debt, on the other hand, is not connected to collateral and doesn't automatically give creditors the right to take your property if you default on the loan. Examples of unsecured debt include unsecured credit cards, student loans, medical bills, and payday loans. Instead of taking your property if you don't repay an unsecured debt, creditors will often sell delinquent debts to a third-party collection agency. Debt collectors use a variety of tactics for getting payment, including calling you, sending letters, and adding the debt to your credit report. If those efforts are unsuccessful, the collector may sue you and ask the court for permission to garnish your wages. If there is anything in common, make sure you don't get into debt unless you have to. Debt repayment usually comes in two forms, revolving or installment. Revolving debt doesn't have to be repaid on a fixed schedule. You have access to a credit line as long as you're making minimum monthly payments toward an outstanding balance. For example, a credit card is a common way to access revolving debt. Installment debt, on the other hand, has a fixed loan amount and a fixed repayment schedule. One example of an installment loan is a personal loan. You pay it back over a certain number of months or years, and your payments are usually the same every month. Next, I want to give you a few tips about debt and how you can understand debt more. Before that, though, have you been keeping count of all the coins that has been floating by? Did you count 49 cents? If you did, great job! If you didn't, you can always start this video again and try again. Let's say you have this much change. How much money is that? Let's give you 1 minute to count. Go! "15 seconds have gone. Do you have an answer yet?" Half your time is up. You can do it! "15 seconds left. Hurry up if you haven't gotten an answer." Time is up. Did you guess 32 cents? If you did, great job. Alright, let's get into those tips about debt. My first tip is that good debt helps increase a person's net worth and value, especially in the eyes of the banks that lend money. Good debt might sound like an oxymoron, but it's not. Of course, it's important to note that debt can only be good if it's paid back and on time. Examples of good debt can include a home mortgage, a car loan, student loans for college, and borrowing money to start a business. The only time that good debt is used is that you buy something to make more money. My second tip about debt is that bad debt is made by spending money on goods and services that don't necessarily increase your net worth or value. It can also be characterized by someone spending outside of his or her means. Think of a big ticket item such as $1,000 plus flat screen TV, expensive clothing, technology gadgets, and luxury vacations. While these things are nice to have and might be fun, they don't necessarily increase your net worth. In fact, they do the opposite. They drain your bank account, especially if you don't have the money to pay it back. Bad debt is definitely the opposite of good debt. So make sure before you buy any candy, ask yourself if that is increasing your net worth. My third tip is don't use a credit card to purchase items if you can't pay the bill in full and on time. It is so important to understand the concept of buying things on credit and how important it is to pay bills on time. To avoid high interest fees, this concept is so important because a credit card is the easiest way to get into bad debt and fast. Just think about it. Most credit card companies charge 20% plus on interest, comparing your bank who gives you around 0.5% interest if you bank with them. That is 40 times more than what the bank is willing to pay you. So the question I ask is, why are you willing to pay 40 times that to credit card companies? Well, my answer is you shouldn't. My fourth tip is about credit card debt. Credit card companies will give you a lot more credit than what you will need. Like a kid in a candy store, you don't need to eat or buy all the candy. It's important for children and adults to understand that just because you have a big line of credit doesn't mean you need to spend it all at once. Credit card companies tack on huge interest fees, and if you don't pay your bills in a timely manner, chances are you'll end up owing more money in fees than the original cost of the item you purchased. Like that kid in the candy store eating too much, you'll probably be just as sick. My fifth tip is don't borrow money without putting a paycheck system in place. There's nothing wrong with borrowing money since chances are you don't have any money of your own yet. But it's important that everyone understands that nothing in life is free. Try putting a system in place that requires you to pay you back. It reinforces responsibility, one of the most important traits that you can take into adulthood. I hope you enjoyed learning about that. I know there is a lot of information on that. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you join me and the many others at the Daddy Debt Facebook group. Make sure you comment below and tell us your story in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time. If you like to hear more budgeting, engineering, or real estate tips, please leave a comment down below on what you want to hear. Smash that like button, subscribe button, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I post new videos every week on Mondays and Thursdays. From the Ash Management Group, this is Daddy Debt, saving you money.